Hey guys, welcome to Confessions of an Avoidant. This is Wando here. And in this video, I want to talk about 3 social media signs that your avoidant ex might be about to reach out to you, or that it might be safe to reach out to them. And I'm going to upload a video after this about how to maybe gauge if you should wait for them to reach out to you or if you should go ahead and reach out to them. And by the way, if you're not sure if you're dating an avoidant or not, I have an Are You Dating an Avoidant quiz linked in the description below. So with that being said, let's go ahead and just jump into the video. So I'm guessing that a number of you are probably binge watching videos about avoidance and no contact and all of that on the YouTubes. And so you've probably heard things like avoidant people can feel relieved after a breakup. Avoidant people can take months depending on their level of being out of touch with their emotions. And with a lot of avoidance, because we don't have the best modeling and we don't have so much practice with just coming out with how we feel. Sometimes we might beat around the bush with social media. I think a lot of people do that, you know. Hello, subtweeting. But specifically for people who are in relationships with an avoidant person, I wanted to talk about some social media signs that maybe an avoidant person is kind of weakening. They're on the ropes. Maybe they're thinking about you, missing you, wanting to contact you, but they're just a little scared. And by the way, these signs are for people who are actually in relationships with avoidance. No offense to people who struggle with limerence and unrequited love and love addiction and stuff, and have a tendency to kind of read into social media signs anyway, read into Facebook statuses, or, you know, using things like tarot cards to like read into every sign, but you didn't actually date the person, or maybe you were hooking up with them for 2 weeks and it just fizzled out. I don't want you to read too much into these things that I'm going to say. This stuff really applies more for people who are in an actual relationship. Okay, so let's get into the first thing. An avoidant ex is posting things on social media, calling back to certain things that you talked about doing, maybe things that you guys did do together, maybe a restaurant that you plan to go to, some trip that you were interested in going to on the weekend. They suddenly went there and they're posting about it, maybe posting about certain things that they knew that you were interested in, certain activities, TV shows, music, destinations, whatever. And they might be doing this subconsciously to trigger some of these memories for you. And the reason an avoidant person might do this is because, again, we didn't get a lot of modeling in our childhoods to just come out and say what we're thinking all the time, or feel comfortable just admitting certain things that are going through our head. We didn't get a lot of modeling to feel comfortable with initiating vulnerable conversations. So some avoidants might feel like the easiest next step for them is to just kind of test the waters and post about something that they know might trigger a memory for you. Instead of just coming out and saying, I missed you, I'm thinking of you, remember this restaurant that we talked about, I came here today. And it might sound silly, but for an avoidant person who's just super scared to initiate a tough conversation, vulnerable conversations. My ex, who was extremely DA and some other things, but he did this, and I felt like he was doing it to get my attention. And then he ended up reaching out to me about a month later. But we're both avoidant people, and it didn't work the first time. It wasn't going to work a second time. So yeah, we didn't get back together. But anyway, the second thing is if the avoidant is posting on social media more often than they typically do. They're upping their social media presence. So again, this is another thing that they might be doing because they're trying to induce you to maybe think of them, revisit memories of them. Maybe they might be hoping for you to reach out to them because they're too scared to reach out to you. And so by posting more, maybe they're hoping that, okay, I'm going to show up in this person's feed more. I'm going to maybe have that little ring around my Instagram profile pic and pop up in their Instagram stories bar thing. But yeah, essentially by posting more, if they weren't doing that before as much, it could be their way of just trying to get your attention without having to say, hey, remember me? I'm too scared to message you, even though I stared at your name on WhatsApp numerous times today when you were online and felt like texting you, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it. So I'm just going to keep posting more on social media and hope that you are the one to reach out to me. And I just want to say, before I get into point number 3, I always see people that are like, oh my God, if people really care about you, they'll reach out to you, they'll be mature and they'll have the conversation. I always get very frustrated when I see people write things like that, because at the end of the day, we all have had completely different upbringings and completely different modeling, you know? That's like saying to someone who's super codependent, like, oh my God, why don't you just break up with him? Well, a codependent person doesn't have the modeling and conditioning to be super comfortable being alone. So that's why they don't just break up with him. So if you find yourself saying something like, oh my God, just text her, just call him. Why do you guys not do that? Well, we don't have the modeling and conditioning to feel like that's a comfortable thing. It's really, really hard. And and different people will have different blind spots of things that are just so foreign to them. Anyway, I digress. Number 3, an avoidant person is suddenly subtweeting. So subtweeting, for those who don't know, for old people like me, and because I'm old, I'm actually going to Google the exact definition of this. I don't want to get this wrong. Hey Siri, what's the definition of subtweet?
On the social media application Twitter, a post that refers to a particular user without directly mentioning them, typically as a form of furtive mockery or criticism.
Okay, I'll just say that again if anyone didn't hear that. A post that refers to a particular user without directly mentioning them, typically as a form of furtive mockery or criticism. Okay, so this is where I'm an old person and I didn't know the exact definition of subtweet because I thought it didn't have to be mockery or criticism. I thought it could just be meant for someone without adding them or typing their handle. In my old lady definition of subtweeting is just posting maybe a quote or posting sometime a message or making like a confession, but without actually adding the person that it's truly meant for. But that you hope that they see it, and you hope that they see it with the intention of hoping that it has some sort of effect on them. It can be something nice. It can be something positive. It can be something that's meant to bond you with that person. Avoidant people, we can often be scared to actually say the thing to the person. So we might like say it in a roundabout way in an Instagram story, on a Facebook post, Facebook status. So yeah, those are the 3 things. Again, maybe one of these things might not be that big of a deal, but multiple of these things could really show that an avoidant ex is missing you and might be about to reach out to you, or that they're giving you the green light that it's okay to reach out to them, which is the topic of my next video. Should you wait for them or should you go ahead and reach out to them? So I'll see you in that video.